if you don't have people who dislike you, disagree with you, or get disappointed when you say no, chances are you don't respect yourself. It might sound counterintuitive because a lot of us, including myself, think that if we are liked by everybody, it must mean that we're a good person. But if you're not careful, you can end up putting everybody else's wants and needs above your own, and that can turn into people pleasing. I am saying all this as somebody who has lived it, as a recovering people pleaser and somebody who always the peacemaker, always available, always saying yes. I ended up losing myself in being available for everybody. And not only that, I ended up trying to help myself by helping everybody else. And I got to the point where I didn't really know who I was. So in this video, I want to talk about self-respect, what it is, what it looks like, and how to start building it. First of all, I want to talk about the difference between self-respect and self-love. Self-love is more about how you feel, where you feel acceptance, you might feel kindness towards yourself, whereas self-respect is about what you do. You can look at it as self-respect is how you show yourself love through action, not just thoughts or feelings, but through things that you actually do in real life. This is very important distinction because I see a lot of people trying to talk themselves into loving themselves, but it rarely works because then if you look at the things that you're doing or how you're behaving or how you're acting towards yourself, you don't really show yourself love. Like, for example, you can tell yourself that you love yourself, but then you can skip the gym and go eat ice cream the whole evening and order pizza and just sit and watch TV. And you will not believe that you love yourself if you don't show yourself love. And also with time, if you say yourself that you're going to go to gym, you're going to eat healthy, you will start this new habit and you don't do it, you actually start to disrespect yourself or you stop trusting yourself when you say you're going to do something. So no wonder you don't really trust yourself and you don't have confidence. And on top of that, you start to seek it externally. So you become people pleaser. You're somebody who's always available. You're going to support people. You're going to help people. And you will be there for others because that's easier than to be there for yourself. And this is not about beating yourself up or shaming yourself. That never works. And that's not what you want to do. I have tried it. It doesn't work. Trust me. This is more about being honest with yourself and being able to look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself the truth. Because no affirmations or journaling is going to give you what actions can give when you actually, through actions, show that you love and respect yourself. Self respect means that you stop trying to be liked by everybody. One of the strongest signs that you're starting to respect yourself is that you don't try to be liked by everybody. You don't try to have others respect you, agree with you, like you. You just don't need that anymore. You're kind of in that space where you're okay if people dislike you or misunderstand you. And a lot of it actually comes from knowing yourself more. Like, for example, for the longest time, I would be the easygoing. I didn't really have like real opinion. I would usually agree, or I would look for ways to find alignment because I didn't want to have this conflict. I didn't want to have disagreement. But what I ended up doing is that I actually started to kind of like take myself out of the discussion, because I would just want to be liked. I wanted to be agreeable. And it started to cost me respect towards myself. I didn't respect myself. I didn't really communicate things that I truly believed in. And I would put everybody else's opinions of myself above my opinion of myself. And the truth is that the more you get to know yourself and the more you own and embody what you believe and what you stand for, the more you will also attract the right people. But before that happens, you will repel the people that are not like you. So anybody who's around you who is not like minded that you might have tried to be liked by or be agreeable with, the more you start to embody who you are, the more friction there will be. And the bigger will be the gap between you and them. And with time, either there'll be some conflict or you will start to grow apart. And that's completely fine. Not everybody is for you. And you already know that. There's some people that you already know that that's the case, that's the truth. You just have been afraid of the conflict. You have been afraid of putting what you need and what is important for you higher than what is important for them. And this is people pleasing. Self respect also means that you stop saying yes when you mean no. You know what I mean. You don't want to go out with your friends and you agree. You don't want to go to this event and you agree. And I have had this so many times. It's kind of like you get to the point where saying no isn't an option and you feel obligated to always say yes. And I always felt obligated to say yes and never set the boundary and always be available to the point where I don't really think I had enough space with myself, or I would struggle to find it. Or if I had it, it would usually be at my 5 a.m.s when I would have a little bit of space with myself. The rest of the time, I feel like I always had to be available. I always had to be supportive and helpful, and I could not say no. There was this one situation where I did not want to go to one event that my friend was organizing, and I remember a friend of mine said, "Just don't go then." And I'm like, "What do you mean don't go?" It literally was not a concept in my head not to go. I literally was thinking and I was mapping out how I can fit my day around it, because there was a lot that I wanted to get done that day, where it was also inconvenient time for me to go to that event. It didn't really feel that relevant to me, but I just felt like I just had to go. And just in that moment, when that friend said like, just don't go, I was like, how is that it like, what? I felt such a sense of guilt, even with the thought of messaging that I'm not coming, and not even over explaining it, just saying like, hey, I can't make it. That's it. And I think the fear was from that, how will they respond? What will they think of me? Because I have always been available. I have always said yes, and now I'm saying no. This is also where I learned that people treat you the way you teach them to treat you. If you're always available, if you're always a yes man or yes woman, then that's what people expect. You teach them to expect you to always say yes, always be available, never have any boundaries, because you never really set them. So you can't be surprised if they now expect you to always say yes, because that's what you taught them. So in that situation, what happened, I ended up messaging that I'm not going. And I had this, the person was like, sure, no problem. And I was like, whoa, what did just happen? And I had this relief. And I didn't really go to any other events because they were just like, at the time they were not what I needed. But it was that first experience of setting the boundary and saying no, and kind of stepping into that unknown of what happens when you say no. It was so scary. I remember I was so terrified. I don't think I was like shaking, but I was definitely like stressed about what will be the response, or how will that person kind of perceive me. And that's where I started to practice saying no and thinking and checking in with myself. Do I actually want to do this? Do I actually want to show up for this? Is this really relevant to me? And or am I just doing it because I'm afraid of people not liking me, people judging me, or whatever was the fear beneath this? Nobody is going to protect your peace. You have to be there for yourself. You have to understand what is it that brings you peace versus what brings you uncertainty or chaos or some toxicity. You need to learn to say no. Nobody's going to do that for you. And as much as I wish there was an easier way to do it, trust me, I have gone through it. It's not easy, but it's just something that you have to do. And that is how you start to show yourself respect. Self respect also is keeping promises to yourself. Self respect is not just about you in relationships, it's also about your relationship with yourself. That's really where it starts, or that's where you can have the most impact when it comes to respecting yourself. A lot of self respect comes from doing things you say you're going to do. And keeping promises to yourself is something that helps you build that relationship with yourself. It's very similar to relationships with others. So if somebody tells you that they're going to call you tomorrow at 6 and they don't, you start to lose trust and respect towards them. If they say they're going to call again and they don't, you start to lose more trust and more respect. And it gets to the point where they say that they're going to do that. And you're like, yeah, right. Like, that's not happening. You don't even expect them to do it. And we do exactly the same thing with ourselves. We break so many promises with ourselves that we get to the point where even when you say you're going to do something, you already know you're not doing it. You don't even trust the words that are coming out of your mouth. Or, well, sometimes if you don't talk to yourself, it might be just like within your thoughts, but it's still the same concept. You don't trust yourself. And you say you're going to start this diet, or you're going to start going to the gym, or you're going to start this business, or you're going to start your podcast, or whatever it is. And there's this voice at the back of your mind being like, yeah, right, sure. Because you have broken so many promises to yourself. And it's not about perfection. You don't have to be perfect in keeping every single promise that you make to yourself. But you need to keep more promises than not. You need to start shifting that ratio of kept promises versus unkept promises. And it also doesn't have to be anything big initially. It builds up over time, but initially it can be something very simple, something that is literally super easy for you to do, but you start to build that muscle where you teach yourself that I said I'm going to do it, and I go and do it. And that's really what self-respect looks like. It's your actions matching the person that you say you want to be. Self-respect also means that you stop accepting inconsistent treatment. If you accept inconsistent treatment and then justify it on top of it, you're not respecting yourself. You're just justifying the other person's actions, and you're being a people pleaser, and you put your wants and needs below theirs. Self-respect means that you stop romanticizing patterns that are hurting you. If somebody makes you constantly feel like you have to beg for the very basics, or for their attention, or you're never good enough, or you're the problem, that is information, but it's not a fact about you. And one of the ways how you can show your self-respect is by not begging people to respect you, to like you, or treat you well. You can communicate with them, you can express your wants and needs, but it's not your job to run after them and convince them to give that to you. That is on them. As I said before, people treat you the way you allow them to treat you. So if you allow them to mistreat you, they will do that. There's a lot of people that if you don't set the boundary firmly enough, they will gladly step over it over and over and over again. And you will be the one paying for it. So stop trying to prove your worth to people who are committed to not seeing it. Self-respect means that you take accountability without hating yourself. This is a big one. It's very easy to beat yourself up and hate yourself for any mistake that you make, for any shortcoming, but that is not self-respect. That is self-hate. It is important to keep yourself accountable, but it's also important to be compassionate towards yourself. And you need to find that fine balance between the two. So, for example, if you make a mistake, instead of thinking that you're worthless, what you can do is you take the accountability for the consequences, you learn from it, and you move forward. It's kind of like this distinction between I made a I failed versus I am a failure. So it's like whatever I did, there were consequences, and that's what I take accountability for. I learn from it, and I take that lesson with me. Versus now I make it mean that I'm worthless, I'm a failure, and I'm never gonna amount to anything. Huge difference. The most impactful people in my life have been the ones that keep it real with me. And I have learned that it's exactly the same with self-respect. Self-respect requires you being honest with yourself. It requires you telling truth to yourself about everything going on in your life. Be truthful about it. Don't hide away. Don't try to shy away. Don't try to shame yourself about it. Be honest, take accountability, and that's how you will be able to move forward. Because if you don't take responsibility, if you don't take accountability, you will just keep blaming something outside of you, and you will never really take any action towards improving the situation. If you're not where you want to be, it doesn't mean that you're broken. It just means that whatever system, whatever patterns, whatever behaviors or habits that you have right now, they're just not serving you to get to where you want to be. That's it. You need to look at them, be honest, change them, and you will start to see results. And one of the ways how you build self-respect is in the small things. It doesn't have to be this huge, grandiose thing in you changing your life completely from inside out. A lot of the times it's in these small daily commitments or promises that you keep to yourself, where you show that I said that I'm going to do this and I did it. I said that I'm going to do this and I did it. And you keep doing it, where soon enough you start to see that, oh, I don't question myself when I say I'm going to do something, because now you have proof of all the past experiences that I said that I'm going to do it, I did it. I said that I'm going to do it, I did it. So now you look at this list of all the things that you actually have done when you said you're going to do them, and you don't really question yourself and your ability to do it with the next thing that you set out to do. That is why self-respect isn't like an identity that you claim that I respect myself. It is a standard that you practice, and you practice it daily. And a good place to start is choose one promise, choose one area that you want to work on. Come up with one action that you can take every day to move yourself forward in that area. And now every day take that action, and soon enough you will start to see that, one, you're starting to see results, but also I do what I said I'm going to do. Self-respect also is very individual and kind of between you and you. And one of the ways that you can test it is by thinking about, what do you do and how do you show up when nobody's watching? When you're not posting about it, you're not sharing it online, you're not telling anybody about it, do you still keep the promises to yourself? Or you still need that external pressure, validation, or approval to keep showing up for yourself? Which, by the way, not a bad thing. There's a time and place for using external pressure or accountability to show up for yourself. I have done it. There's nothing wrong with it. But with time, you want to get to the place where you can rely on yourself, where you say you're going to do something, you go and do it, and you don't necessarily need that like external support, because that's really where standards live. They live between you and you. It's not something that you showcase externally. It is between you and you. And the stronger you build that relationship with yourself, the less you need to prove to others that you respect yourself. And the more it's kind of like the way I describe it with confidence. Confident people don't walk around telling that they're confident. They're just being confident. And it's the same with self-respect. You will not need to go and walk around and prove to others that you're being self-respectful or that you respect yourself. You will not need to talk about it. You're just going to live it. You're just going to be it. You're just going to respect yourself. And it will be just a normal thing. And self-respect doesn't mean that you never fail, you never feel lonely, you never ask for help. It's about making that best decision for you at the moment. Sometimes instead of staying up and spiraling in your thoughts, you might just need to go to sleep. Sometimes you might need to admit you were wrong, or you might need to reach out and ask for help, because self-respect is being committed to stop abandoning yourself.